Hello. The first week of 1989, guess where I went? Vancouver, British Columbia. That was my first trip to Canada, and my mother and my older sister Elaine were with me, and we had a great time. This was with an organization that I belong to in Atlanta, the Atlanta chapter of the Women in Construction. And one of our members had planned a pre-convention trip to Vancouver, British Columbia and Victoria, British Columbia, before we went on to Seattle for our convention. So I talked my mother and my sister into going with me. I wish my younger sister could have went, but she had a sick husband at the time and a job and couldn't. I'm going to read you just a little clip of what my mother put in her photo album about this trip. She said, "The first week in September 1989, Elaine, Betty, and I went on a tour of Vancouver and Victoria, Canada. They are in British Columbia. This is some of the pictures of places we went and things we saw." So she really enjoyed that trip, and so did we. Now, I don't have any videos of that. I have a lot of pictures, and I know that you can go find videos of both places, but tonight I'm just going to talk about Vancouver and just the fun that we had. And if you ever get to visit, there's these places and many others I'm sure you can probably find online and look into if you'd like to go there. First off, we had breakfast with the whales. Yes, that's whales, Whales. But our group had booked I guess it was just a dining room at the side of an aquarium, a huge aquarium where the whales are in it. And we had breakfast there, and the whales would just swim by as we were eating, and I have some pictures, and it was so much fun. So that's a first for me, having breakfast with the whales. It was the first time I'd seen an aquarium like that and whales, so that was an adventure. And that was 1989, so I would have been, 44 years old, so pretty old to be getting to do some of those things, but grew up in the South where there wasn't a lot to do. We didn't have a lot of money, so as I got older and worked and could, I traveled. Now, belonging to an organization like Women in Construction was the main way I traveled for years that didn't involve my family and friends, and sometimes they would go with me too, but they were groups all that had done all the pre-planning and work, so all I had to do was get on the bus or the plane and show up and check in, and that made it easier for me and helped me learn how to travel and book things later for me and my family too, so that was fun. Now, besides breakfast with the whales, we went to Stanley Park, and I remember walking around the edge of the water. That was beautiful. But one of the main things that we enjoyed doing, the tour group, we went to a beautiful gardens, actually in Vancouver area. And it was built in an old rock quarry, sort of like Butchart Gardens is in Victoria, British Columbia. But that was our first gardens that we saw while we was on this trip, and it was spectacular. So that was fun. And then another day, we took a locomotive, steam locomotive, up the side of a mountain and a river to a little logging town. Now, I wish I could remember the name of that little logging town. Somewhere in all my pictures and notes, I'm sure I have the name of it written down. But at 80, it's a little hard to dig through all that stuff sometimes. So we took this steam locomotive up to this little logging town where we had lunch. And what was fun on the way up there is people would gather on the sides of the road to wave at us as the train as it came through. And that was an adventure, and that was the first little train trip like that I had taken. It didn't take a long time to get up there, but it was beautiful, scenic, fun, and we could actually even go out on the back of the train at the caboose area and make pictures too. So that was really interesting. Now we had lunch in that little town, had to walk around in just a tiny little place. So when we got ready to go back, did we take the train? No. We had a completely different experience. We took a boat back down the river to Vancouver. Now this was a logging town, so you have to imagine all the logs floating around in the river too. Now they weren't where we were out in the boat lanes, but the sides of the river, and we could see them in other places. So that was interesting and adventuresome, and we really enjoyed that too. So that was probably an all-day trip there. We stayed almost downtown Vancouver, right on the edge, I assume. Odouls, and I don't know how to pronounce it, O'Douls or something like that. Beautiful hotel and very nice restaurant. So when we didn't have group activities planned, we were out walking, as me and my sister usually, and I know we walked into one of the part of Vancouver's that we could get to and went through a beautiful church, went into a tower that we could overlook the water from there. I remember walking by an old clock on the side of the street. It was a metal, and it's pretty famous, so if you find it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I know my mother stayed in the hotel room, and of course she was worried to death about her girls getting back to the room. And looking back, I don't know why she didn't just walk with us. Maybe she was tired because she was 35 years older than me. So at that time, she would have been, 79 years old. So, and I'm 80, and I know I can't get out and walk like I used to, but she enjoyed that trip a whole lot. So another day we had free afternoon. Now, I talked about this in a video I did on taxis, buses, and limousines, but I didn't mention this bus trip. It was a city bus. My sister and I and my mother, we loved gardens so much, we decided we'd go to another gardens that was on the outskirts of Vancouver, and I don't remember the name of it either, but somehow we found out the bus route and managed to get on the bus and get out to those gardens and toured and had tea in the tea room and looked and looked and looked and made pictures, and we was having such a good time we almost forgot that we had to get back to the hotel. So we made it back over across the street to the bus stop, and thank goodness some kind Canadian people, locals, helped us get on the right bus and get back into Vancouver. And how we managed, I don't know to this day, but we made it back and back to our hotel fine. But it's something that, looking back on, maybe we was a little bit too brave, not even realizing where we were going and how the buses worked, and maybe even what time the last bus was coming back to Vancouver, because I know when it's not busy, they spread those bus runs out a little bit. But we made it, and it was fun. And that was my big adventure to Vancouver. And next, we went to Victoria, British Columbia. So when we left Vancouver, guess what? I had another adventure. They put that big old bus right on a huge ferry. And we were all, of course, all in it. And when we got down into the parking belly of the ferry, there was just enough room to squeeze out the doors and get through the cars and the trucks and the buses and whatever to climb up the steps and get up to where the seating area lounge on the ferry so we could watch as we made our way to Victoria, British Columbia. So that was another fun adventure, another fun bus trip, and a new experience on a ferry and a steam locomotive and ride down the river on a boat with the logs. And let's don't forget, breakfast with the whales. Okay, thank you for watching. We're going to end this video. And we're going to reach over here, turn it off, say good night, have fun, be a blessing to everyone you know, smile and make them happy. Bye.